Today, I'm exploring coastal Virginia with my friend Nathaniel. Earlier in the week, we did a pelagic birding trip out of North Carolina and decided to take one of our remaining days to explore some hotspots in Virginia. Our two destinations are Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge to look for marsh birds and Rudee Inlet to look for sea ducks, including a pair of common eiders that had been spotted there. In the morning, we started exploring our first hotspot. I'm here at Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge with my friend Nathaniel, and this is our first birding destination in Virginia. We saw some cool stuff on the way in. There were some sparrows and mockingbirds, some meadowlarks. It looks like a great diversity of habitats. There's water over there, sand over here, trees here, and there's actually no fee right now, so that's nice. We're gonna explore, see what we can find. Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge contains over 9,000 acres of land, along with a welcome center, 7 trails, and a refuge beach for visitors to explore. On this February day, we had high winds and limited time, but we decided to walk a few of the trails, starting with a boardwalk. So we're walking one of the smaller loops here, and this place seems really nice and optimized for birding. They have really nice trails, and we saw some hooded mergansers, lesser scaup, great egret, some yellow-rumped warblers. I can see why this is a nice place to visit in Virginia. It is really windy today, though. Could do without that. As we walked further down the path, we spotted more wildlife and noticed a hard-to-miss species way out in the distance that winters in this part of the East Coast. So way out behind me, we have some tundra swans, and that's a pretty cool species to observe. They're really far out, but it's nice that we're able to see some good diversity here at Back Bay. We continued on and stopped at one of the open pools, where a pair of wading birds were hunting and provided incredible views. We stumbled upon some really cooperative herons. There's a great blue that's been giving us some amazing looks, as well as a tricolored heron. But once you get to see those features up close, it's crazy the amount of detail in the colors in the bill of the great blue heron, the eye, and the feathers around the head. The great blue heron is a large wading bird with a long, sharp bill. They can be found throughout the United States at different times of the year and are a common sight at various bodies of water. To hunt, they move slowly, stalking their prey before striking at extremely fast speeds. Being able to view this heron up close gave us a chance to see its nictitating membrane in action, which is an extra clear eyelid that helps to clean their eyes and protects them. In addition to the great blue heron, the tricolored heron was just as cooperative. The tricolored heron is a slender wading bird that can be found year-round along the Gulf Coast, up into parts of the northeastern United States, as well as in Mexico, Central, and South America. Once known as the Louisiana heron, tricolored herons are shades of blue, gray, and purple, with a light stripe down the center of their neck and a lighter stomach. They are commonly seen in coastal marshes and feed mostly on fish. Those tricolored heron views were absolutely insane. I was actually able to see like the eye, and when it tilted its head, the light reflected off the eye and gave some really cool views. When you're able to observe birds up close, you're able to just appreciate things you never were able to before at a distance. We reached the end of the trail and took in the view before beginning our trek back to the parking lot, thinking about a species we hadn't seen yet. One of the species we were hoping to run into today is king rail, but they're very secretive. And even though this is close to the coast, it's a freshwater marsh. And so that means you're more likely to have king rail than clapper rail. They prefer freshwater, clapper normally prefers saltwater. But the constant noise we're hearing today is the chip of the yellow-rumped warbler. So that is just a constant kind of background noise you hear. We also had a northern harrier flying low over the marsh. It was really working the wind. It was cool to see that behavior. Once we got back to the parking lot, we got ready to head further north up the coast. We had fun checking out Back Bay, even though the weather wasn't super cooperative, but we're gonna head further north to see if we can find some common eiders that have been hanging out there. Our next destination was Rudee Inlet, which is a popular location for fishing, boating, birding, and other beachfront activities. We just arrived here at the inlet. There's tons of pigeons, crows, ring-billed gulls, but this is the area where the eiders have been seen, so we're just gonna kind of scan everywhere around here and see if we can pick them out. There's 2 of them that have been hanging around. This is really pleasant. It's not super windy, it's sunny. It's pretty chill, so it seems like a nice location. One of the first birds we saw out on the water was a black scoter, hanging out in the channel. Just had some really nice looks at a black scoter. Probably the closest I've ever seen one of those. It was just diving and foraging over there. So we went down here ways, now we're gonna come back. I think this is more the area where the eiders have been seen. We moved down towards the ocean where the channel opened up and started picking through the ducks and cormorants. Eventually, we spotted our eiders. We located the eiders, but they're way out chilling on some rocks, so we're gonna try to get closer. Don't know how close we'll be able to get though. So we can't go on the rocks, but we can go on the beach a little further down, so that should take us a little bit closer at least. As we walked closer, the eiders got in the water and ended up giving us some nice views. The common eider is a sea duck of the far north, moving further out into open water and in some areas further south in winter. They pluck down from their feathers to use in their nests, which is then sometimes collected to use as an insulating material for jackets and other items. Male common eiders are black and white with some green on their neck, while females are more brown. Both sexes have a distinctive sloped bill that helps to identify them at a distance. They feed mostly on mollusks and nest close to the ocean. We felt thankful that this pair was still hanging out this far south. Common eider was also a lifer for Nathaniel, his 4th of our East Coast trip. 4th lifer. 4th lifer of the trip. Really glad we got to come here and observe the eiders. It looked like they really like to do this thing where they would kind of move their body up out of the water. And they've been diving, foraging, and just kind of hanging out. And it's also a scoter palooza. There's tons of scoters out there, and those are really fun to observe at close range too. It's really a treat. Aside from the wind, this place has been really cool, and the fact that they really don't want you to go on the rocks. It's a couple of black scoters. After enjoying our views of the eiders, we moved back to the parking lot to appreciate the pigeon flock one more time. This big flock of pigeons hanging out, and there's just kind of like a cooing noise emanating from it. They're very beautiful when you get to see them, even though they're a non-native species. They did a lot of great stuff here in America. Now they're kind of just, hanging out wherever they want, but a really nice species to appreciate. But we're gonna head out. I'm really glad we got the eiders, and the scoters were really cool to see close. There were also a lot of gulls we didn't pay as much attention to, but really cool place. And I feel like in the off season, like right now when it's not as busy and touristy, it's very chill. I'm sure when it's like the summer or spring, it's probably way busier, but really good stop for us here. Nathaniel picked up his life for common eider. We're gonna move on. Overall, we had a great time exploring a few of Virginia's top coastal birding locations, despite the windy conditions. Have you ever birded in Virginia? Let us know what your experience was in the comments below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.